Hi guys, it's Jamila here from Slap. Today I'm going to be doing a video comparing all of the new foundations that I've tried this year in 2022 and I'm going to be comparing them with some of my favourite foundations of all time and my favourite foundations of 2021. I've got 4 new foundations versus 4 favourite foundations. I'm going to be pitting the Chanel No. 1 Chanel foundation, the Rose Inc Tinted Serum, the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation and the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin against the very Valentino foundation, the Dior Capture Totale foundation, the Pat McGrath Sublime Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Skin Fetish Sublime Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection foundation, and also the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin foundation. As always, I'm going to be showing you guys swatches and swatch comparisons. Hopefully it's going to be helpful, hopefully it's going to be useful if you have been watching all of the reviews that have been coming out with all of these great new foundations and wondering which one to actually get, how they compare to other things. Hopefully I'll be able to help you decide. If you haven't subscribed already, guys, please subscribe. We'd love to have you in the Slap family. And without further ado, guys, here is the video. So first I'm going to start with one of the combinations that was requested. It is the Chanel No. 1 Chanel foundation in the shade BD121. It does swatch a little bit redder, but it does look nice on. And also one of you guys requested that I try this alongside the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection foundation in the shade MD26. So first up, I'm going to start with the Chanel. This is Chanel's luxurious frosted glass bottled foundation. It comes in an okay shade range, not bad. The best thing about it is this isn't the last shade, which Chanel have done in the past. I've been the final shade, so they're definitely a few shades after me, so I do appreciate that. This is supposed to have, this has red camellia in it, which is supposed to make it very anti-aging and revitalizing and hydrating. And that's one of the things I really remember about this foundation. It felt very hydrating, very comfortable on my skin. It felt very like nourishing, like a kind of like protective layer on my face, which is really good for makeup, to actually feel like skincare and actually feel like it's protecting you from like external pollutants and aggressors. So I do really like that about it. It had a really good wear test as well. I didn't really have any problems with this foundation. My only problem was that I kind of paired it with the wrong concealer, and I also probably put on a bit too much, which I always do. So this is it here. I'm just going to use one pump. And I'm going to use a sponge for all of them apart from the rosy, because the rosy looks better with a brush. Now this one is quite, it's not thick, but it feels a bit more substantial, let's say. And it does have a scent, more than other things I have. It smells a bit floral. It's not like a Gucci smell, but it does smell. It is a very nice light layer, but you can already see that it's blurred my complexion, it's blurred my skin tone, but it does still look quite natural. It doesn't look over the top, it doesn't look thick or cakey, but it's quite nice. And that's why I always say this one's a really nice one for like anyone. If you're a guy and you don't really know if you want to wear like very over the top foundation, it's quite subtle, you wouldn't know. And also if you like lightweight foundation, this will be a good one. This one could have been quite a good paired against the Lisa Eldridge, because the Lisa Eldridge has this very like lightweight, buildable, layerable consistency to it where you don't really notice it. It just starts blurring your skin more and more, and then next thing you know you're like finished. So I do like this one a lot. So on this side I'm going to show you the Pat McGrath. Now they do seem a bit different, these shades, and the Pat McGrath I wouldn't say is as blurring. It's a lot more liquidy. It just looks like my skin. It doesn't look like I have anything on, which is one of the reasons it's really nice. It's also very lightweight. Like this one feels like I've put moisturizer on, so I can feel something. It feels nice and nourishing, but this feels like I literally have nothing on my face, which is really, really nice, especially if you don't like feeling like you've got like lots of makeup on. So yeah, I like this one too. So guys, those are the two on. I have to say, in the mirror, this looks a bit more blurred. Weirdly, the pat looks a bit more blurred. It just looks smooth and just like a nice version of my face. I'm gonna build up quickly and then I'm gonna show you in a different light. I'm just gonna pop a bit of the pat on the right side. So now I'm going to take these off and then I'm going to come back and try on two more. So next up, this is now where it gets serious. This is the competition for the best foundation ever. So my favourite foundation of 2021 was the Dior Capture Totale foundation in the shade 5N, my babes. I love this. I bought this kind of on a whim. I just needed something new to review and it was out and it had a new and improved shade range last year and I just tried it. I tried it in store and it felt really light. I walked around the store. It just kept warming on me and I quite liked it, so I've decided to try it, and since then I just reached for it every single day, and I love it. I normally pair this with the Armani Luminous Silk just because it gives me a bit of a richness that I like, and it's really good. It makes me look really like youthful and glowy and plump and lovely. It's very expensive. It's part of their like anti-aging range, but I love it and I would definitely repurchase this. I might not have to though, because coming in hot is the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation in the shade Macao. I haven't tried it since I tried it, but I know I loved it. So this is the shade Macao. I also love the fact that this is a fantastic shade match for me. This is my shade. This is absolutely my shade. This does oxidize to be my shade, but this is just my shade. The thing I like about this is it feels nice on the skin. It looks super glowy, super natural, super radiant, super light reflecting. It just is such fantastic foundation. I also think the bottle is super chic. It's probably one of my favorite Nars foundation bottles in a while, just because it's quite sleek, it's quite compact. It's not as like big as some of the other ones which do take up a lot of room. This is good if you've got like short shelving and you just want to like have everything neat and keep everything together. So I like this a lot, so I'm excited to be trying this. I'm going to try this one first because this is a new one. This is the shade Macao. It is a bit less, it is a bit thicker than I remember. It's not thick, but it's not as runny as like the Pat McGrath, which is just like straight down my arm. And it gives a really nice coverage. It's not too light, but it still looks natural. The thing I love about this foundation is how light reflecting it is, but also how lightweight it is. It still gives me good coverage. It's actually my shade, which is just so nice and refreshing to actually just be able to find your shade. I know it's so hard to like be able to give everyone a match, but there are some categories where there are lots of people in that shade range. It's kind of like shoe size, like yes, you might have some 7.5s, yes, you might have some 6.5s, but there are a lot of 7s and a lot of 8s and a lot of 9s and a lot of, you know what I mean? So like, just making sure you're at least ticking those boxes is so important, which is why I get so frustrated with the Charlotte Tilbury one, because it's like, you know that this is a shade that needs to be created, so why aren't you not creating it? This is gorgeous. I love it. It's so lightweight, so glowy, so natural. It's just perfect, and I don't even feel like with this I need a second layer, which I think is what I said in my video initially. So on this side I'm going to use my baby, my sweetheart. I'm going to use the Dior Capture Totale. It's about to get real. So I'm going to just use, not really a full pump, but a pump. So this is the Dior Capture Totale. And it plumps up my skin in a way that just looks like, oh, she's so youthful. She's so young, so fresh. This one is still so good. And I really didn't put much on, which is what I like about both of these. They're both very lightweight feeling. They don't feel thick, but you don't need to like overdo it with the layers to feel like you've got a decent coverage, which is nice. Like I do like thin buildable layers, but it's also nice when you can just put on one layer and just leave. It's a very, very close match between them. They seem different. This one is definitely glowier. This one's definitely more smoothing and more plumping. I think still the Dior Capture Totale has my heart and just like how I want to look. And considering this is the left side of my face, which is always the best side of my face, I feel like I like this side more. So I'm going to pop a little bit more on each side just for the purposes of being a rebel. And I'm going to do it over here just because it's easier and quicker. My penultimate duo is going to be one of the things I've been using more than anything else actually, and that might be in part because I haven't had the Nars, but the Rose Ink, I just love it. It's so easy to use. I love using it with the brush. It's just so simple, so quick. It's lightweight, it's buildable, it's natural. I just use it for like every day. So it's definitely become one of my favorite things. This is the Skin Enhance Luminous Tinted Serum from Rose Inc. I now have this in the shade 100. I decided that 110 was a bit too neutral for me. It was just throwing me off a little bit, so I decided to go for 100, which I'm very happy with. So if you are my shade, I would 100% recommend getting 100. It's a bit more golden, it's just a bit more true to my skin tone. They all look the same pretty much in here, but once you actually start to blend it out, then the pigments release and then it becomes like a proper product. So I'm going to show it on. One of my favourite things, this one is not in a glass bottle, sadly, but it's quite good if you're travelling. So I'm just using 1 and a bit pumps. When I did my review, I found it a lot glowier with the brush than I did with the sponge, which is one of the other reasons I use the brush over the sponge. So that's it. Oh, so nice. Really nice, really blurring. You can see how it's like blurred my skin, but also this shade is much better. It just looks like my skin tone. On the other side, I'm going to do something quite random. I'm actually going to use a foundation. The reason I'm using this foundation and not another tint is because it just reminded me of it. It's very lightweight, the layers are quite fine, it's very buildable, it's very much like my skin tone, and in my head I just felt like those are the ones to pair with each other. I'm going to use the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin foundation. A lot more swanky in terms of its like design and material. It is a glass bottle, it does lie on its side, it's very different, but I never miss a chance to try the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin because it is a really good one. This is in the shade 28 and this is a self-setting foundation. It's just very buildable, the layers are very thin and light and easy, and it dries down and it just lives its best life. So this is Lisa. I'm just going to use one pump. Now this really reminds me of looking at the Nars versus the Dior Capture Totale again. I feel like the rose ink is a lot more glowy, a lot more light reflecting, and then the Lisa is a lot more like skin perfecting and a bit more like satin, not as glowy and not as like matte, just kind of natural looking. I love this one so much. It's really a favorite of mine, so easy to use, and I just get a really nice natural finish. I feel like I don't have anything on. It doesn't have any scent. It feels super lightweight. It looks really glowy. I'm really glad I swapped the shade because that was making a huge difference. It just felt slightly off, but now I'm so happy with it. I've intrigued myself and now I want to know what the Nars looks like next to this rose. So I'm just taking off the Lisa. I'm going to try the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation on this side. They're very similar. They both have the same like light reflecting qualities to them, but also Nars has a tiny bit more coverage. I did put a little bit more on. Yeah, the Nars has a tiny bit more coverage, but I like these side by side, and I think you can see how glowy both of those are in comparison to other things. So finally, last but not least, I'm going to be testing out the new Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin foundation. been trying to use this a few times because I'm having to combine my shades. I'm not quite getting the ratio right. I'm not quite loving it. It feels a bit like a lot on my face, but I'm going to give it another go because I've got two and I need to get through them. And I'm going to be testing it alongside something that I didn't like at first. Well, I didn't love at first and really grew on me last year, as I always mention it. Valentino, Very Valentino foundation. I have this in the shade DR2. It is a red undertone, but it's not too red, which is really good. Gives good coverage. It's got a nice demi matte finish. It doesn't look too glowy, it doesn't look too matte. It just feels like a good foundation, like a really good, reliable foundation. I think the thing I don't like about this is the shade range. So I've got this in the shades 14 neutral and 13 warm. I did go into store and try the 14 cool because we were thinking maybe that would be a better match, but it wasn't, unfortunately. Also, the lady on the counter also agreed that she couldn't find her match either, and she was kind of in my skin tone. She couldn't find her match, and she said she also mixed these two. And I think to have someone selling it who can't even be catered for on the actual counter is crazy to me. And it feels like every time I take a step forward with Charlotte Tilbury, I'm like, I'm left with my head spinning and confused and just confused and conflicted. But as you guys know, I did recently try her Matte Eyes to Mesmerize eyeshadows. I really like those. Not many people do, but I really like those. So there are some things that she does incredibly, and then there are some things that she just doesn't quite hit with. So I'm going to use a bit of 14 neutral. I'm going to use a tiny bit of 13 warm. That hopefully will come up to one pump. I'm gonna try this on. Mixing. That's nice. It hasn't done that much. But I definitely do prefer that shade combo than wearing either of them on their own. On this side, I'm going to put on the Valentino, and then maybe I'll come back and touch up this a little bit more. One pumpish, generous pump. I feel like I've got enough for the Charlotte on this side, so I'm going to pop a bit more on. It does look nice. It looks really nice and glowy, and that's definitely like the coverage level I think is good for this. I see the Charlotte Tilbury next to the Valentino, I feel like it definitely has a bit more of a glowiness to it, has a bit more of a light reflection and a bounciness to it, which is great and does make me think, okay, that's actually a really good alternative and a really nice option. It feels a bit more weighty on than the Valentino. The Valentino really doesn't feel like I have as much on as I do on this side, but like I said, there's no shade for me, so I actually have to spend time like mixing 2 shades together, which just seems crazy. And I know not everyone can have a perfect shade, I do totally appreciate that, but when there are so many perfect shades out there, I just don't really see why I would do that to myself for no good reason when it's no better than anything else I have. So I do like it, I think it looks nice, I do look kind of perfected. I just don't know how often I'm going to go through the whole process of tweaking the shades so that I get a perfect match from 2 shades. And also I would never buy 2 foundations just for the sake of trying to find a match. And just to be helpful, I'm going to show you the Charlotte and the Valentino side by side with a bit of makeup on. Haven't got too much on, but quite a bit. So guys, that is it. That is my finished look. Let me know in the comments down below which one you prefer out of all of them. I think I have to say, still top dog, still got the crown for me, is the Dior Capture Totale foundation. That is still my favorite foundation, but coming in a very close second is the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation and the Rose Inc Tinted Serum in the shade 100. Very great products I really truly love and will definitely be reaching for. The Rose Inc I've pretty much worn every day since I bought it. The Chanel is probably third, but I do think the Chanel is really nice and ticks so many boxes. And then last but not least is the Charlotte Tilbury. Not a bad foundation at all. I think just the fact that I have to buy 2 to get the same shade as other things and everything else I have is the reason why it would be the last one, but it's not bad. As you can see, it looks pretty cute. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful, hopefully it was useful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. Will you be buying any? Will you be trying any? Was this helpful? Which ones are you now going to be getting, or which ones have you now got? Let me know in the comments down below, guys. I hope you like this video. Thank you so much for watching all of our videos, and if you haven't subscribed already, guys, please do subscribe. We would love to have you in the Slap family. I'm trying to get us to 5k subscribers, so please do subscribe. It will be a huge help. Do like this video as well if you did like this video. If you haven't subscribed already, guys, please subscribe. We'd love to have you in the Slap family. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.